Hi, this is May.
And I'm Joy.
Welcome to the QWERTY Writing Life Podcast, where we have candid chats about our creative lives.
May and I are friends, writers, and creatives who want to share our endeavors out loud.
On this podcast, we're here to encourage each other, and you too,
and share tools we've discovered or made up,
so you can follow your passions with a little support. So grab your tea
or your coffee,
and let's get started. Oh my goodness. Okay, are you ready to get started?
I'm so ready.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It is another episode, and we are here with you. We are going to talk about our creative weeks, and then we're going to get right into a super fun episode. We are so excited to talk about this, and hopefully there's going to be a lot of laughs that go along with it. So, Joy, what did you do this week?
So, really, the past couple of weeks have been very consumed by my novel, which is coming out next month. So, I got to see the print preview on my screen and approve it, which I actually had tears. And then I got to hold my first proof copy, which is crazy, but for some reason there weren't tears with that. I'm not really sure why. But anyway, I felt like that was backward. But the really cool thing was getting to reveal the cover to everybody, and that was just super cool. And I've had so many people share it and so many sweet comments, and I mean, it is an absolutely gorgeous cover. So I got to work with an amazing designer, Rachel Ritchie. She is just the best cover designer. Highly recommend for anyone who's looking for a cover designer. And it's just been a lot of fun to be able to share it with people, because, you know, it's one of those things you talk about for a long time and it feels like forever. And then now I can actually share it. So that's been cool.
If we have any listeners who are interested in seeing your cover, where could they go to find that?
Okay, so you can go to my website, which I still need to update all of my book stuff on there, but joyeRancatore.com, or just follow me on any social media and you'll see it all over the place there. So, and keep an eye out because I'll have banners. I'll be putting up new banners soon and updating my website even more and all that fun stuff.
Yay! So we will put her website in the show notes. So if you, just in case you don't know how to spell Rancatore.
Yeah, it's not an easy one to spell. All right, so your turn. Your creative week.
Yes, girl. Okay, so the last couple of weeks have been so full of stuff, and we're saying the last couple of weeks because last week when we had the wonderful Kim Halzabia on, we forgot to do our creative weeks. We were so enamored with Kim, so we're gonna just put a couple of weeks into this one and see how it goes. So between last week and this week, I wrote a magazine article for a missions magazine about a trip to Greece, which was so much fun. And I was a guest lecturer for the Joe Roberts Forensic Society, which is speech and debate, y'all. So it was a lot of fun. I got to speak about platform speeches and how they can help college students not only win tournaments, but also in their classroom and in the future beyond that. So that was a big honor to be asked to speak at the Joe Roberts Forensic Society Prep Week, and I think we nailed it. It was a lot of fun. Those kids are fabulous. I mean, I guess they're not kids. They're students or semi-adults. I don't know exactly what they are, but they're fabulous either way. And I wrote a poem for my poetry and art project that you don't know about. And I came up with a potentially another series for that too. So this week we are going to talk about how inspiration is everywhere and how artists can be observers. So what we're going to do is kind of go over some of the craziest places we have found inspiration. So some strange places that I found artistic inspiration. The first one is I was riding in the truck with my husband, and we were riding down this road into downtown. And I just looked up over the treetops and I saw just like a roof line. And it was not any kind of special roofs or anything like that, but I just liked the way that the angles and the the straight lines and everything just kind of came together, and it inspired me to do an entire rooftop series for an art project. So that's fun.
Cool. I love that. So the first thing that I was going to say is I actually get a lot of inspiration when I'm in the shower. And I am not alone with this because a lot of writers that I've talked to have the same thing. Now, they actually make this nifty little device where you can write on this board in the shower. You have one, don't you? Oh my gosh. Okay. I need one. I haven't gotten one yet. But yes, I always I'll be in there in the shower, nothing to write on, and I'm just, all of a sudden it hits me. And sometimes it's like how to fix an issue that I'm having with something that I'm writing or whatever. So yeah, I don't know if it's the water that inspires me or what, or if it's just, the fact that I don't have anything to write on.
I do the same thing. I have the same exact situation. And I don't know if it's just because there's nothing else for my mind to do. There's nothing else for my mind to think about other than just wander, because everything that I'm doing in the shower is fairly monotonous. It's something that I've done 1,000 times before. So it's not like I have to really think about that. I just have, there's nothing else to go with. And so my brain kind of just takes over.
And the same thing when I'm driving too. So, and it's the same kind of thing because usually, when you're driving, most of the time you're driving somewhere that you drive all the time. So once again, it's a monotonous, something you've done 1,000,000 times.
Yeah. And I have 40 voicemails, or not voicemails, voice memos on my phone where I just pick it up and start recording the things that I'm thinking about. And some of it makes it in the book and some of it doesn't, but it's all a part of the process of fleshing out exactly what needs to happen. For a particular project, which is kind of a cool thing. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned those because I didn't even go with that. So, well, my next one is I was cleaning out my email, my work email one day, and I came to this piece of spam mail, and it just, I read the subject line of it, and all of a sudden the story climax for the sequel of my book that I'm writing now came to be. And so for people who are on YouTube and who are looking at us, this is a printout of the spam mail. It was such an experience. I'd never had something like that happen before. I kept the spam mail. So there it is, right there. And then these are the notes. Look, I got 3 pages of notes about the climax of the story just from reading that subject line on that piece of spam mail. So that's mine.
All right. So my next one that I was going to say is, and this is completely random, this is a split second in time. I passed this gentleman in Wendy's, okay? And I will probably never see this man again. Don't know who he is, don't know anything about him. But guys, there was something in his eyes. And sometimes I still can just see those eyes and they kind of haunt me. Not in a creepy way, in a cool, inspirational, my imagination is running wild with his story kind of way. And he, was kind of an older gentleman. He was wearing a cowboy hat. He had long white hair in a ponytail, and he had the most fierce blue eyes that were just gorgeous. But there was something about his eyes, and we, had that eye contact. It was probably a split second, literally. But I couldn't get it out of my head. And so I came home and I jotted down a few ideas and a few thoughts. And this isn't something that I've written yet, but I went ahead and I jotted down those thoughts. And I looked up about how old he would be. I looked up under the Social Security website the most popular men's names at that time. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's his name. I wrote it down and all this kind of stuff. So
cool.
So yeah, so I have kind of this backstory and I feel I don't know. I just want to tell his story one day. So that's on my list.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like he could be a character in one of the towns that Jack visits in your book.
Oh, that could be cool. I didn't even think about that as I was writing Jack's story.
Yeah. I feel like maybe the second town that he goes to, oh, I'm sorry. You can cut that out.
Spoilers.
So I have another one, and it also deals with a strange man. So
There's something about strange men.
So in the town that I live in, there is a guy who lives here who drives around on a motorcycle, and it's like the same time every afternoon. And every person that he passes, he has this very unique horn. He blows the horn, and then he waves at everybody who passes by. Whether they're walking, riding a bike, they're in a car, it doesn't matter. That horn goes off, and then he waves. And you can't miss the wave because his hands are covered with orange gloves. So here's this guy who's riding down the road. He's waving at everybody, and it's almost like a happy thing. Like his unique horn that he has is a very like happy melody. And I just got to thinking about him one day, and I just started wondering what his story was. And so I made him one.
Oh, I love that.
So if on YouTube, you can see like the notes that I made for that, and it's actually a kidlit story, and I'm really excited about writing that one day and kind of giving purpose in a place where, I mean, I'm sure that there's purpose for what he does and why he does it, but I'm kind of placing another purpose on it.
Y'all, I will just say, as she shared this with me, like she called me the day that this came to her, and I was kind of tearing up, so such a sweet story.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty precious, and I think it's a story that kind of needs to be shared too. It's one of those that just has a message behind it, so maybe I won't screw that message up. We'll see.
So for me, another thing is, and I think this is pretty common too, music and pictures are a big thing. And one thing in particular, I was sitting and I think I was journaling. I was doing some things like that, maybe following some writing prompts. Actually, I think that's what it was. I was following a writing prompt. I homeschool my kids, so my kids were doing their schoolwork, and they were kind of independently working, and so I had a few minutes, and I was doing, just writing away, and we had on some classical music, so Clair de Lune, for those of you who are familiar, that was the song that was on, and I guess I must have had my phone up or something. I was looking for something on Pinterest, and I found this image, and it's the most beautiful image. Probably if you've spent much time on Pinterest, you may have stumbled across it. It's a picture of the back of a woman, and she's overlooking like some cliffs, like it looks like Ireland or somewhere like that, cliffs over the sea, and it's just gorgeous. And so the combination of that song with this picture and a writing prompt, it was a writing prompt that I was working on. I came up with my short story, Dream Debris, which I've submitted to a literary magazine. It got rejected, which is totally fine. But in the process, I've actually come up with a thought that I might be able to make it more than a short story. So I might attempt that because I wanted it to go somewhere. I really love that story. And then I was like, well, I wonder if I could make it longer. And so anyway, so that's where that is. But yeah, song.
And it has kind of an Odyssey feel to it. Does it not to you?
Oh.
Your short story.
I never
this
thought
woman
about
at home who's waiting, and this husband who's trying to get back to her.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of epic in a way. It might need to be more than a short story.
It's true. I didn't even think about that comparison. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I've had several people give people give me like these comparisons with my writing, and I'm like, I never even thought of that.
So my next one actually has to do with music too, but not music that I hear, but rather mishear. I have two poems inspired by songs with lyrics that I got wrong. So the first one is a song called Send in the Clowns. It's a Sondheim song from a Broadway play called A Little Night Music.
I know that song. I love that song.
So I don't really get to a lot of Broadway shows, and I was young too. I was in high school whenever this happened, and I was listening to the music, and I loved the song, and I was just like, oh my gosh, my heart ached. But it ached whenever I put my lyrics to it. So instead of Send in the Clowns, I thought it said sand in the clouds, like everything had just dropped, and that, there was no such thing as heaven. Heaven was here in this awful place, and the clouds were even getting dirty. And
I love that.
Anyway, so that was I misheard those lyrics, and it became a poem. And it was a really short but inspired poem, and I really was proud of that one. So the other poem that I wrote was inspired by Avril Lavigne's Complicated. And this was in college, actually. I misheard something in college. I was in phonetics class, too, whenever this happened. And so the real lyric is, never gonna find you, fake it. Okay, so like, never going to find you, fake it, right? That's what it's supposed to say. I thought it said, never gonna find your Vegas. And so it was like, never gonna find your Vegas. So in my head, there was like a person who was searching and searching and searching for this, like, utopian situation. And Vegas was the metaphor for that utopian situation. And he's never going to find it, right? So there was this really, really arrogant guy in my phonetics class.
We've all had one of those.
Yeah. So he tried to speak to me, and it didn't go over too well. And so I wrote a poem about him and how he will never find his Vegas.
Boom. How very Taylor Swift of you.
Actually.
I know, that's your next one, isn't it?
When I was painting where I was painting our bedroom one spring break, and so Taylor Swift's Speak Now album and Paint inspired a song I wrote for my husband for our 10-year anniversary, and it's called Just Saying. And so here is the song lyrics, etc. If you were seeing it on YouTube, they're all right here. And honestly, the thing about Taylor Swift that inspires me is she does what she does, and she puts everything she has on the table, whether it's perfect or not. It's everything that she has. It's her heart at the moment. And I love that about her. And so I was listening to Speak Now, and there were moments like that where it was just like, yeah, these lyrics are everything. And then, yeah, these lyrics are okay, but they're, they're still making me move, but not like, the way that the other ones were. And I just was like, I got to throw away perfectionism for a moment, and I sat down on my couch and I wrote this song from my heart, whether it was perfect or not. And it was there. So, yeah, Taylor Swift and paint.
A great combination. An inspiring combination.
Absolutely.
One other thing, well, I want to do two other things. So the first is characters who speak. Okay, so I have this little thing where sometimes, and this doesn't happen all the time, but some characters just appear and they just talk to me. Like, I'm going to sound like a crazy person, but other writers will understand, and we can all band together in our craziness. So, and I know I've told this here before, and I know May's heard it a bunch of times, but I never was going to write fantasy. But these little fairies kept sitting on my shoulder and talking in my ear, and so I just had to. So that's one thing where it was actually the fairies, not my main character Elspeth, but the fairies who really first appeared to me, and I can kind of hear their little voices, and had all of that going in my mind. And then in my novel, In Any Good Thing, some of the characters were very difficult. It was a little bit like pulling eye teeth trying to get to them. I just had a lot of trouble with some of them. But there was one character, Ducky, and he was not a character that I had planned. What happened was I was writing along in that part of the book, and Ducky wrote himself. And he just appeared larger than life to me, and I just couldn't have been happier, honestly, because he might be my favorite character. Don't tell Jack I said that. Jack's my main character.
And didn't you tell me in Any Good Thing that there was one character who would not like reveal anything about herself, but you changed her hair color.
Yes.
And
oh,
it
that's
was like,
true. I forgot that. Rachel. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Rachel started out as a blonde, and y'all, I did not get along with her. I could not figure her out, and I don't know, I was pretty far along, and I changed her hair color to red, and we got along great after that. So yes, sometimes it's something as crazy as a hair color. And then the last thing that I was going to say, and then this is going to kind of tie into something that we were going to say together, and that is another place that I find a lot of inspiration is from my fellow writers. And not in a plagiarism kind of way, of course, but in the fact that the writing community is, first of all, very supportive and encouraging, for the most part. Sure, there are the bad apples amongst the lot, but that is with any group. So they're supportive, they're encouraging, but they also are very inspirational. Okay, so you can't surround yourself with creative people and not be inspired. And that's kind of what I find in the writing community. And I'm so thankful for that. And so, for us, because we kind of started, I know each of us had kind of been in some writing communities in different ways, but we really kind of started this journey in depth together. And so May and I started with the QWERTY report, which we've mentioned before, where we would kind of share what we were working on and things like that. And then we added some retreats. So we've actually gone on a couple of writing retreats together where the first one we were working on our own individual things, but we would stop here and there and we would share what we were doing and we'd brainstorm and we'd do all of these things together. And then, the big thing is the Mississippi Book Festival, which the 5th annual Mississippi Book Festival is coming up next weekend, so August 17th. If you happen to be in Jackson, Mississippi, or anywhere within driving distance, we encourage you to please come and holler at us because we will be there. This is our 4th year, and that is just one of the most inspirational places for us.
It's so inspirational for me because of the energy that's there. Like you're around all of these people who either love books, write books, or both love and write books. And you can't help but feel the energy whenever you're there. I mean, there's 1,000 more people.
Oh, it was like 7,000, I think.
Was it 7,000?
Yeah, last year it was something like 7,600 people. Yeah. A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Introverts, don't avert your ears. Don't let that scare you away.
I know, exactly. You don't see them all at once. It's like, it's come and go.
It is.
It's come and go. But you're around all of these people, and even whether you speak to them or not, you just feel the energy that's all around you. But all of these people who just love the same thing that you love, and you feel a part of this community, whether you know these people or not. And it's kind of like, okay, so it's kind of like when you're around all of these people, it's almost like you're friends in a way, like you have this thing in common. And so if somebody's tag is sticking out in the back of their shirt, then you would feel comfortable with like pushing the tag back in, if that makes any sense.
But you actually did that last year.
These were my people.
Exactly. And she was very appreciative.
If my tag is sticking out, I would hope that somebody would put it back in. Let's just
absolutely
do unto others joy.
Exactly.
Anyway, so the thing that's inspirational about it is that when you go to book festivals or when you go to craft festivals or when you go to any place like art gallery, cooking class or anything like that, when you go and you put yourself into these places, into these positions, you are suddenly able to notice inspiration a little bit better because you are completely comfortable. Yeah. So even when you leave those places and you're living your life, it's like your right brain is alive, your eyes are open for inspiration. And that is so cool. Our timer did go off. And so, Joy, do you mind telling everybody our QWERTY challenge?
Yes, our QWERTY challenge. Okay, so as we have said, inspiration can be found everywhere. The trick is, though, You have to be open to it, okay? So our challenge to you this week is to open your eyes. All right, we're not so much telling you to look for it because, all right, it's the whole watched pot thing. It's not going to boil. Looking for inspiration, it's going to elude you, that kind of thing. But what we are telling you is to open yourself up to anything that may come, okay? So don't rein in your senses. Let them be free. Just be free to feel. And then when something makes you pause for a second, go back and ask, what about that thing made me notice it? And let yourself dwell on these things. Just be open, okay? So just observe, be observant, look for things, and be open. Also, keep your ideas notebook handy because we think you're going to need it this week. So when you have that inspiration, even if you're in the shower, hop out if you have to, if you think you're going to forget it.
Just put it by the edge of the tub or something, and so you can just lean over and write. It might be a little soggy when you get out, but the notes will be there.
There you go. All right.
Well, guys, we hope you have a wonderful creative week. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun for us. We hope it was a lot of fun for you. And we will speak to you again next week.
Sounds great. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening until the end.
Seriously, you're a trooper.
Do you think QWERTY Writing Life is the bomb?
May, you just said the bomb.
Don't you censor me.
If you think QWERTY Writing Life rocks ice for real,
Oh my word.
please rate, review, and share us with others.
If you have questions about this week's episode or want to start a conversation, you can reach us by visiting QWERTYWritingLife.podbean.com.
We'll be back next week with more candid chats for you.